The Islamist Hamas brutally murders hostages before IDF forces extract 6 bodies that after 330 days of captivity. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledges to settle accounts with Hamas, including all of its leadership. Tens of thousands of Israelis flood the streets of Tel-aviv and Jerusalem, calling on the government to bring about a deal that would bring the hostages back as soon as possible. The horrend Islamist Hamas organization managed to plague Israel with sorrow, fury, and confusion as the Palestinian terror group murdered in cold blood 6 hostages that shortly before IDF forces entered a subterranean hideout in which they located and then extracted the respective bodies who've been held captive by Hamas in brutal conditions for a total of 330 days.
According to our initial assessment, they were brutally murdered by Hamas terrorists shortly before we reached them. They were abducted alive on the morning of October 7th by the Hamas terror organization. Their bodies were found during combat in Rafah in an underground tunnel, approximately 1 kilometer from the tunnel from which we rescued Farhan al-Qadi a few days ago. Since Farhan's identification, the forces have been instructed to act with extra caution, even more so than usual, understanding that there might be additional hostages in the area. We did not have information on the exact location of the hostages. Combat was ongoing above ground, and the troops eliminated terrorists even during the battles there yesterday. The troops are still operating in the field at this time.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to the cold-blooded murder of the 6 hostages, including a dual American-Israeli citizen, as well as another dual Russian-Israeli national.
This is a difficult. Together with all citizens of Israel, I was outraged to the depths of my soul by the horrific, cold-blooded murder of 6 of our hostages: Carmel Gat, Eden Yerushalmi, Hirsch Goldberg Polin, Alexander Lobanov, Almik Sarusi, and Master Sergeant Ori Danino. May GD avenge them. Together with the entire nation, my wife and I share in the family's deep mourning.
Netanyahu went on to commend the Israeli forces who extracted the bodies from Hamas's subterranean hideout, while further pledging that the Islamist terror group will pay the price for its heinous crimes. Netanyahu, who made his televised statement yesterday, further highlighted to Israeli citizens that the State of Israel faces Iran's terror arms on multiple fronts, including in the West Bank district of Judea, where 3 police officers were shot dead by an armed Palestinian terrorist as they were traveling to their base near the town of Hebron.
Citizens of Israel, we are fighting on all fronts against a brutal enemy who wants to murder us all. Only this morning, it murdered 3 police officers in Hebron. My wife and I send heartfelt condolences to their families. We saw the inconceivable brutality of the Hamas murderers on October 7th, and we have seen it again in the tunnels under Rafah. The fact that Hamas is continuing to perpetrate atrocities like those it carried out on October 7th requires us to do everything so that it will be unable to perpetrate these atrocities again.
One of the 3 policemen who was laid to rest following yesterday's deadly attack, 61-year-old Roni Shakuri, was the father of Mol Shakuri, a police officer who was killed during the abhorrent Hamas onslaught of October 7th of last year.
On the Black Saturday of October 7th, Roni lost his heroic daughter, Mor, may her memory be blessed, who fell in the heroic battles against abhorrent Hamas terrorists at the Sderot precinct. Mor, may her memory be blessed, served as a police patrolwoman at Sderot precinct. She fell after a heroic battle against Hamas terrorists on the rooftop of the police station. Despite this tragedy, loss, and deeply felt sorrow, Roni continues to serve with a significant sense of mission. This morning, on his way to work with two of his friends, Senior NCO Hodesh Branch and Chief Inspector Arik Ben Eliyahu, the three were shot by abhorrent terrorists. Roni was evaluated to hospital in critical condition, and his death was proclaimed shortly thereafter.
It is important to note that the IDF, in close cooperation with the ISA or Shin Bet, located and subsequently eliminated the terrorist responsible for the shooting attack that claimed the lives of the three police officers earlier in the day. The terrorist was identified as Mohannad al-Assoud, a 31-year-old from the Palestinian village of Edna, a member of Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas's Fatah faction, who formerly served in the Palestinian Presidential Guard of the Palestinian National Security Forces. Reverting to Netanyahu's address, in which he also insisted that Jerusalem was doing everything to retrieve the hostages from Hamas captivity.
Our efforts to free our hostages are continuing constantly. Since December, Hamas has refused to hold genuine negotiations. 3 months ago, on May 27th, Israel agreed to a hostage release deal with full backing from the U.S. Hamas refused. Even after the U.S. updated the deal framework on August 16th, we agreed, and Hamas again refused. In recent days, as Israel has been holding intensive negotiations with the mediator in a supreme effort to reach a deal, Hamas is continuing to steadfastly refuse all proposals. Even worse, at the exact same time, it murdered 6 of our hostages. Whoever murders hostages does not want a deal. For our part, we will not relent. The government of Israel is committed, and I am personally committed, to continue striving toward a deal that will return all of our hostages and ensure our security and our existence.
ותבטיח את ביטחוננו ואת קיומנו.